to use email as the #1 marketing tool for your yoga biz. If you're listening or watching, I'm Robin Peretz. I'm the founder of Pretzel Kids, and I am here with Bev Feldman, who is the founder of Your Personal Tech Fairy. And Bev is an email marketing expert. So I'm really happy to have her here with us today. I'm going to turn the stage over, the virtual stage over to Bev, and let her give her presentation and tell you a little bit more about her. Welcome, Bev.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Robin. So as Robin said, I'm going to be teaching all about using email marketing for your yoga business. So a quick introduction. I know Robin told you a little bit, but I'm a jewelry designer turned tech nerd and email automation strategist, and specifically ConvertKit consultant. So for those of you who are like, what is ConvertKit? It's an email marketing software, kind of similar to MailChimp or Constant Contact, just for a little bit of context. And so we'll dive into what we're going to cover in this presentation. So first, we're going to cover why email marketing, like why is this an important thing to focus on as a business owner? How to get started, including some best practices, and 3 trust building elements as you start to build your email list, or even if you've been doing this for a while, some things to think about. And I want to say, I encourage you to ask me questions. I will do my best. Sometimes with the sharing, it's a little tricky to see the chat, but if you have questions, I definitely want this to be interactive. I don't want you to feel like I'm talking at you. And especially if I try to be really mindful about throwing marketing terms around. So if I use something, you're not quite sure what that means, please feel free to put it in the chat to ask me, like, well, what is that term? What does that mean? And one other thing I want to just mention, that this is really focused on the setting up of the email marketing and not on what to email your list about. That's not my area of expertise. I do have recommendations of places to look for, resources that I can point you to for people who are really good at helping out with what to email your list about. So let's go on. So first, I want to start off by defining what email marketing is, just so we're all on the same page there. So this is kind of my own definition of it. Email marketing is educational and or promotional email messages that you send to a group of people via an email marketing platform. And these are sending to people who have given you permission to receive marketing emails. So I know that's a little bit of a mouthful. I'm going to repeat it, give you a moment to kind of digest it. Email marketing is educational and or promotional email messages via an email marketing software to a group of people who have given you permission to receive email marketing messages. So I don't know if this is bringing up any thoughts or questions. I'll give you a moment if you have any thoughts about what this brings up for you when you read it. And if nothing, then I'll just kind of continue on. Oh, there's chat. Oh, yes. So I bring this up because email marketing is really permission based. And we'll talk a little bit more about this during best practices. People have to be able to subscribe to your email list, and they have to be able to unsubscribe, to cancel their subscription. So email marketing is not BCC in a list of email addresses that you've collected over the years. That is technically not in compliance. And I don't want to get into fear mongering, but if you're starting your business, it is important to make sure you are using an email marketing software and not just sending emails that are BCC'd. And I'm sure you've probably been on the receiving end of that, where you keep getting emails from someone and you're like, I don't want to be receiving these emails from you, but I don't have a way to unsubscribe because it's not through an email marketing software. So just want to make sure we're all kind of on the same page about that. So before I move on, any questions about what I just talked about with, the permission piece of it and using an email marketing software tool and not just BCCing people through Gmail or Yahoo? Yes. Robin said, it's so awful to get these emails and no way to unsubscribe. And welcome to the people who have tuned in the last few minutes. All right. So why email marketing? Why is this important? And maybe you're thinking, wait a minute, is an email dead? I keep hearing this. And no, email is not dead. I want to ask you, put in in the chat, how often, like, you put maybe a little smiley face if you check your email at least once a day. Yep. See a smiley face there. Yeah, I'd say that most of us, yeah, I see the star smiley emoji. Most of us, I'd say everyone, we might not read all of our emails every day, and we may in fact have overflowing inboxes, but chances are you're checking your inbox at least once a day, as are the people who you are trying to market your business to. So I want to dive a little deeper into this idea of why email marketing, and I'm going to look at it in relationship to social media marketing. And I think there's very much a time and place for social media. I'm not anti-social media, but as we'll dive a little bit deeper into this, but just kind of for a frame of reference, because I think a lot of times business owners say, well, I have, an Instagram account, isn't that enough? So when you look at email marketing in relation to something like social media marketing, email marketing, that is information that you as the business owner own. You do not own the information of people who follow you on social media. So for example, if you decide you have this huge Instagram following and you decide, you know what, I actually want to be on TikTok instead. You can't take those followers from Instagram and move them over to TikTok. You can tell them about it, but they might not follow you, versus you can take subscribers and switch them into different email marketing softwares. Similarly, if you violate some social media platforms' terms of conditions, and I've certainly heard cases of people's accounts being shut down and they don't know why, you now don't have access to that information anymore. You don't have a way to reach out to people. That is why email marketing is so important, because this is your information. You're also not at the mercy of the ever-changing algorithm. Yes, email marketing, like showing up, the way email is done does change a little bit, but it's not the same way that Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, the way their algorithms are constantly changing. You are always going to show up, well, not always, most of the time, as long as you're being compliant, you're going to show up in people's inboxes, versus you're not guaranteed to show up in someone's social media feed. With email marketing, you can guide people on a journey. So when someone signs up for your list, you can have it so that they're getting a series of emails from you welcoming them into your world. With social media, again, you're kind of at the mercy of what social media post that platform decides to show. So maybe they're going to decide, you know what, this post is doing really well. I'm going to show people that post you sent 5 days ago instead of the one you just posted. You really, with email, you have so much more control. With email marketing, you also have the ability to personalize the communication. And this is kind of a more higher level. So if you're just getting started with email marketing, I wouldn't worry about this yet, but it is something to think about, that you have the ability as a business owner to kind of organize and segment people in your email list and let them know about specific classes or classes, products, whatnot, based on actions they've taken or what interests that they've showed you that they're interested in. And also with email marketing, it's really easy or easier to retarget. So if someone expresses interest in something and doesn't make a purchase, you can resend someone information. So to give you kind of a more concrete example, have you ever gone onto a website, put something into your shopping cart, not actually purchased it, and then a couple hours later get an email in your inbox saying, oh, it looks like you forgot something? I see some heads nodding. So this is something you can do that it'd be a lot more challenging if you could do it, I think, with ads, paid ads for social media, but you're not going to be able to retarget in the same way that you can with email. So before we move on, I just want to see if anyone has any questions about why email marketing is so important. I also want to say, feel free to unmute yourself if it's easier, because sometimes talking is easier than typing. Okay, I'm going to move on then. So let's talk a little bit how to get started with email marketing. So to do email marketing, you really need two things. One, you need an email marketing platform. So I mentioned I focus on ConvertKit. There's other ones like MailChimp, Flowdesk, Constant Contact. There's lots of options out there. You just need to have one of them. And I want to add, it is something you will likely have to pay for at some point, but I wouldn't let that stop you because it's going to be one of the most important investments you will make in your business. And the other thing you need is a business email address. That is it. You just need those two things. And by business email address, technically you can use something like a Gmail or a Yahoo account that is for your business, but it's actually better practice to have one that is your custom domain, the URL of your website. And even if you don't have a website yet, you can always buy a URL. I think depending on what it is, it can be like $15 a year. So for example, Robin at pretzelkids.com, Bev at yourpersonaltechfairy.com. Those are email addresses that have your domain. What do you notice is missing from this list? You can put it in the chat or say it out loud. And if you have no idea what's missing, no worries. So I'll say, you do not need a website to start doing email marketing, email addresses. You can do email marketing even if you haven't yet created a website for your business. And you can do that via what's called a landing page. And a landing page is simply a page on a website that is focused on one thing. So one call to action. For example, a sales page is a landing page, or in this case, the landing page is simply for building your email list is just a page where the only goal is to collect people's email addresses. Like there's nothing else happening on that page. So you can build this landing page even if you don't yet have a website. So I'm going to actually, because I think if this is kind of a new concept, it can be a little hard to visualize. So I'm going to just share with you, for example. So when you signed up for this workshop, can you all see this? So this is a landing page. So when you signed up for this workshop, this is what you saw. The whole point of this page is just to give your name, email address, and to register for this workshop. So this is what a landing page is. And technically, I know Robin has a website. I have a website.
Bev, I don't think we can see the
Oh,
landing
you
page.
can't see it. Oh, okay.
No,
Let
sorry.
me
Select
the
that
screen
via
share thing.
landing page.
Yeah, you know what? Let me stop the share. I always find this stuff to be very confusing. Okay. Screen share. Let's try this again. Oh, here. Okay. Can you see it now? The landing page? Okay. So this is an example of a landing page. It's what you use to sign up for this workshop. And you'll see the whole point of it is just to put in your contact information. And technically, yes, Robin has a website, but technically she could just have this in the interim if she didn't have a website as a way to build her email list. All right, let's see if I can get back to my, all righty. Can you see now the slides again? Okay. So any questions about this, about getting started with email marketing, even if you don't have a website yet?
Yeah, and I think, Bev, I'm just going to jump in.
Yes.
That landing page that she showed you was created on an email marketing platform. It was created on ConvertKit. So you can do that on any MailChimp, Constant Contact, whatever you have. But you can also use other companies to create just a lead page alone, which is super simple. So, if you want more information on that, you can reach out to Bev or to me, and I'll give you some lead, companies that you can do that in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I particularly like, I like ConvertKit. There's a reason why I like it. And you can actually get started with it for free. They do have free accounts, and it has more options for built-in landing pages than other ones do. So my goal isn't to sell you on ConvertKit, even though that's what I do, but just to let you know that it's a great, in my opinion, it's a great option. And I'm sure Robin will concur since I know she uses it. All right. So what kind of information do you actually need to collect on this landing page? Obviously, you need to collect people's email addresses. At the bare minimum, that is what you need. I also recommend, though, collecting people's first names and potentially last names as well. Just that way, when you send emails out, if you've ever signed up for someone's email list and it says like, "Hey there, Bev," you can't do that if you haven't collected people's names. So it kind of makes it feel a little more personalized and familiar if you have people's names. It also makes it a little bit easier to track people. So I recommend asking for people's names. And then kind of a little higher level, and I'm going to show you what I mean by this. You can also collect things like people's interests as it relates to you as a business owner, or people's levels of, yoga, for example. So when I talk about interests, I know a lot of you are here because you teach kids yoga, but maybe you also teach yoga for adults. So you could ask people on that page, oh, what are you interested in? Yoga for kids, yoga for adults, or both? Maybe you teach virtually and online, and you can ask people if they want to hear about classes that are virtual, classes that are in person, or both. And then similarly, you can do the same thing with levels. So I'm going to just show you what this actually looks like in practice, because I think hearing that and seeing it are two different. Seeing what I mean might explain it a little bit more. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so for example, can you see this other landing page now? Okay. All right. So, oh gosh, that was weird. I don't even know what that was. Okay. So this is, for example, if you decide to sign up for my newsletter later, like this is a landing page I created on ConvertKit where it asks for first name, last name, email address. And then I also have a question I like to ask people about what email marketing software they use, because right now I help people on ConvertKit. It's helpful for me to know if people use ConvertKit or if they use something else, don't use anything, or are looking to switch. To give you another example of what this might look like, this is a little more in depth than I would generally recommend, but this is something I did for another client of mine who does disability advocacy. So she asks things about like, what topics are you interested in? And, what language people speak. These aren't questions you would necessarily ask, but I just want you to get kind of a sense of what you can do with your landing pages as you grow your list. And I'm saying this because later on, even though this might feel like a lot as you're just getting started, later on, this can help, again, personalize things for you as you email your list and help you to gather really helpful information to better guide people along this customer journey as they sign up for your email list. So before I move on, any questions about this, what information to collect? Let me pull up the slides again. If you have any questions, again, feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat. And if there's no questions, I'll just move on. All right, so I will move on then. Okay, so let's talk about some email marketing best practices. Oh, okay, so I see, when just starting out, it's fine to have a general sign up. Yes, keep it as simple as possible because you want to just get over that initial, you might not even know when you're first starting out, quite honestly, what information you need to know. I have definitely, when I started this business, I just asked for people's name and email addresses. And then as my business has evolved, I've asked different questions and gathered more information. So some best practices. So first, I'm going to repeat this again. Only add people who have given you explicit permission to be added to their email list. And it's quite possible that you've taught classes in the past and you've collected that information. It's more like if you go to a networking event or you start adding your friends are not likely to, they might be okay with it. But the biggest thing to think about here is you don't want a lot of people, once you start emailing them, to suddenly start unsubscribing because they were added to your list without your permission, or worse yet, marking you as spam, because in the long run, this is only going to hurt your business. I know when you're starting out, you want people on your email list, and it can feel like a bummer when you only have a couple people, but I'd rather you start really small with people who have said, yes, please sign me up for your email list, than just adding anyone you've ever talked to and having them suddenly all unsubscribe. That would be much worse. Better to start small and slowly grow. When people are signing up for your list, you want to make it clear what exactly it is that they're signing up for. So, and by this, I mean, letting them know, like, oh, you can expect to hear from me weekly with tips on yoga, and also letting people know that you are going to be sending promotional emails. I think most people understand that when they sign up for an email list, they're probably going to be sold something, but you want to make it really clear to people what these expectations are, and make it clear that, you know, here's the kind of stuff that you can expect to hear from me. And again, this might change over time, so you can keep it broader, but you do want to set some sort of expectations. You also want to welcome people in. So, and this is when people sign up for your list, you want to make sure that they're getting something from you right away, some sort of email that lets them know that they're in the right place. I don't know if anyone's ever signed up for someone's email and then it's been unclear whether or not you actually ended up on their list because you never got anything until maybe months later. I don't know. Has anyone ever had that experience? So, oh, and I saw Robin ask, when people sign up on your website or landing page, that means they have signed up and given you permission, correct? Given you permission, correct. That is why we do this. It's telling people when you create the page, that is people giving you permission to be on your list. Are there any templates or scripts we can use for email newsletters? Yes, that's a great question. I have someone I recommend. I'm happy if you want to send me a message afterwards. Anyone's welcome to message me and I can send you a recommendation for some templates that I've purchased. Because yes, especially when you're getting started, knowing what to write can feel really daunting. So I recommend, especially if you're new to this, having some sort of template to kind of guide you about what you might want to write about.
Also, Bev, I'll hop in, like when you sign up for some of these email marketing companies, like I know I've been with ConvertKit for several years now, but when I signed up, they have all sorts of templates that you can use, you know, and you can get those. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were back then.
Yeah, I think they do have some.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them I found really helpful, even though they weren't applicable necessarily to my business, like how to welcome people, like a welcome email or a thank you email or things like that. So,
yeah. And we're going to actually talk about welcome emails a little bit briefly in a moment. So really what we're talking about is, in terms of this is, what's that experience like for new people as they come onto your list? I mean, it's really to think about what feels good to you when you sign up for someone's email list, and what expectations do you want to set for people? How do you want to build this relationship with people as they're coming onto your email list, and deciding, especially if they're people who are new to your world, helping them to decide if this is a good fit, if they're going to want to work with you in the future. So that's where we're going to dive into the 3 trust building elements you want to make sure you also set up as you start your email list. So again, it's really about building that relationship. You're beginning this customer journey with someone, and you want to let people know that they're in the right place and what they can expect from you. So the 3 things you want to make sure you have in place, and again, I'm going to show you some visuals of what I mean, is a thank you page, a confirmation email, and some sort of welcome email. So thank you page. This is what happens immediately after someone signs up for your email list. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one and then talk about some of the things you want to make sure you have in place for it. So going back to Robin's, can you see the sign up sheet for this workshop? Yep. Okay. So you may have noticed when you signed up, and I'll sign up just to show you that process again. Bev. So when you hit save my spot, let's see. So you notice it redirected to a thank you page. In this case, it's very simple, but it made it clear to you that your email went through and that It says, thank you for signing up, and then says an email with the Zoom link is on its way to your inbox. You weren't left, my hope is you weren't left wondering, did my email go through? How am I going to know how I access this workshop? It's all there in the thank you page. So let me go back to the presentation. So some things you want to have in place for this thank you page. And I'll also add that some email marketing platforms such as ConvertKit will allow you to create this thank you page right there on it. You don't need, again, you won't need a website if you don't have one yet to create this. So again, you want to remind them on this thank you page what it is that they signed up for. You might want to remind them who you are again on this page. It can be helpful to have a picture of you or a video welcoming new subscribers into your list. You want to tell them what to do next. So in this thank you page I just showed you, we said you've got an email coming to your inbox with the Zoom link. So reminding people you've got something coming to your inbox right now. You want to kind of start developing that habit of people opening and reading your emails when they arrive in their inbox. And then sometimes you might have some sort of call to action. So for example, maybe you want to connect with people on Instagram. It could be inviting them to follow you on Instagram. Depending on what your process looks like for working with people, maybe it is signing up for a class or watching a video of a preview of a class. But I do recommend having just one action item if you are going to do this. So any questions about the thank you page before we move on to the next piece? All right. All right, the next part is the confirmation email. So this is the email that shows up in the inbox immediately after someone signs up for your list. So things you want to consider. And again, I'll show you an example of this in a moment. So you want to make sure there's some sort of branding that matches, even if you don't quite have a website yet, finding the colors and using words that sound like you. You want to, again, remind people what it is that they signed up for. Remind them again who you are. Oh, yes, you want to remind them who you are. Because again, for some people, you might be just starting to build this relationship. I'm sorry, my monitor keeps turning off and then it makes things very complicated for me. Anyway, and I bring this up because some email marketing softwares, such as ConvertKit, have these generic emails that look something like this. And I can't tell you how many times I've received an email that looks like this. And if you'll notice, it says, important, confirm your subscription. And it says, well, subscription to what? If I signed up for your email list 3 days ago, and I'm finally getting to my inbox to really look through my emails in my inbox, at this point, I've probably forgotten who you are. And I'm like, what am I confirming my subscription to? And that's, click the link below to confirm your subscription and you'll be on your way. You are building that like, know, and trust factor. And you're going to have to take time to remind people who you are, what it is you do, so that they actually look forward to opening your emails. So I bring up those points about, the branding, reminding people what they signed up for and who you are, and not doing a very generic email like this, because that is not building up trust. If anything, people are more likely to just not respond, take any action. And I want to add that this is something that's called a double opt-in. And what that means is sometimes people, when you have someone sign up for your list, instead of just automatically adding someone, there are times where you might just want to have people confirm that they actually want to be here. So perhaps you've been on the receiving end of this, where you've signed up for someone's email list and you have to click something in the email to confirm you actually want to receive their emails. And it's one of those things you can do it, you cannot do it. It's kind of personal preference. It's partially a protection for you as the business owner, because you are less likely to have spam bots signing up for your email list if you do something like a double opt-in. But again, if you are going to do something like that, making sure that you update the actual email. And then finally, and Robin just brought brought this up a few minutes ago, a welcome sequence. So this is, oh, actually, I want to go back to the confirmation email and show you an actual example of what that looks like in practice. So, for example, when you signed up for this workshop, you immediately got an email thanking you for signing up for this workshop. And it says, thank you for signing up for, renamed the workshop. It's reminded you what's going to happen. It gave you the Zoom link like it said it would do in that thank you page. So I don't know, Robin, if anyone brand new to your list, if this was the first thing they signed up for, but either way, it gives a pretty good sense of, who Robin is and what she does. And then there's also links so they can learn a little bit more about her business. So this isn't, if you're growing your email list and you're just starting out with like a sign up for my newsletter, obviously it would look a little bit different from something like this. They would say, again, thank you for signing up for my email list. Here's what you can expect from me, versus this one was for a specific workshop. But this is kind of what I mean when I'm saying a confirmation email. Any questions about confirmation emails before I move on to the last piece? Okay. So final piece is a welcome sequence. And what that is an automated email or a series of emails that it goes out after someone signs up for your email list. And I believe this is really important because you don't want to accidentally ghost your new subscribers. And when you have something like a welcome sequence in place, it doesn't matter when you next send an email to your whole list, because with this welcome sequence, no matter when someone signs up for your list, they're going to automatically get an email or a series of emails welcoming them onto your email list. So things you might consider putting in these welcome emails is, again, who you are and what it is that you do, letting people know about your experience and what makes you qualified to teach children's yoga, for example. And demonstrating your expertise, what has led you to this point. And also setting some expectations for people. So even though with a welcome sequence, you might be emailing people a little bit more frequently, and I actually recommend that you do that. It's okay to send one email a day for a few days as people are coming onto your world. But after that, you do want to let people know when they can expect to hear from you. So you might say something like, over the next 3 days, you're going to receive a series of emails from me, and you can use this to share your tips about what it is you do and resources, and show why really show them why you are an expert at this, and then letting them know. And after that, you can expect to hear from me once a month on Fridays. And again, you might not know when you're going to be emailing people as you are just getting started, but at least giving people a sense of when they can expect to hear from you. So this is it for the welcome sequence piece, because there are people who are better equipped to teach about welcome sequences. As Robin said, some of these email marketing softwares such as ConvertKit have sample ones that you can work off of as you sign up for them. But I wanted to give you kind of a general sense of what you might want to put into your welcome sequence and why it's important. So we've kind of reached the end. I wanted to make sure we had enough time for questions. And I know we've had a couple questions so far, but are there any other lingering questions from this presentation? And again, feel free to unmute yourself. I can only see 2 people's faces anyways. All right, I'm going to assume nothing. I will move on to the last slide. If you think of something, I'll stop sharing my screen in a moment too, so we can have more of a conversation if you'd like. But I do want to share a couple resources with you. So and I'll put the links in the chat. So if you are interested in learning more about email marketing, more from the tech side of the tech perspective, and setting up an automated customer journey, I do have a newsletter you can sign up for. So here's that. If you are interested in learning more about ConvertKit, if you don't yet use if you don't yet have an email marketing software that you're using, I'm going to put in my affiliate link for ConvertKit. So ConvertKit does allow you to try it out for free for 2 weeks, which is very nice. I'm also happy to answer any questions. And then, I'm going to actually put in, if you do think of anything after this, after we get off, I'm going to put in my Instagram handle. You can always send me a message there. And then I'm going to stop sharing. That we can actually see people and see if anyone has any questions, thoughts.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming, and we'll have a replay available. So I just need to edit it. So you have to give me a little time to do that. And then I will send it out to you via email. So you will get a thank you email from me with a video to watch if you joined late or just want to rewatch it or take notes or anything like that. And I'll also send you guys just a little thank you discount for something over at Pretzel Kids for joining us today. And I really appreciate it. Thank you, Bev, for lending your expertise. I do also want to add that there's a little kind of about my email transformation as I've been using email over the past couple of years. Is I used to kind of like freak out when I saw people unsubscribe from my email list, because I make it really easy, because I don't want people to be bothered by my emails. I want them to want to get the information that I offer. And as part of what I do is I send segmented emails to particular groups of people, but then I also send a general email, like probably once every 2 weeks, that everybody on my list will get, with a relevant blog post about yoga or self-care or meditation or something that I think, or kids yoga, that I think everybody might value. But I also put on the bottom of that email, might be on the top, I'm not sure where, but a really
On the bottom.
a really easy way to click and unsubscribe. And you could see that in your, dashboard. You can see how many people unsubscribed. And a couple of years ago, I used to be like, oh my gosh, like 4 people unsubscribed today. They don't like me. I used to take it personally. They don't like me. They don't like what I have to say. But now I've kind of gone through this transformation where when people unsubscribe, I'm kind of relieved, because it's like, oh, I gave them an easy way out, and this isn't for them anymore. And that's okay. There's some other email list or some other type of product or company that might interest them more than Pretzel Kids. And that's okay, because I only want to be sending emails to people that I think want my information. So that makes me happy to know that the people on my email list are opening it because they find the information relevant. So it was kind of a transformation in mindset that way. So I just wanted to leave that with you if you're just starting out with this, that if people unsubscribe, think of it as like a good thing. Okay, I'm not bothering them anymore. And, the people left are those that want your information. So, yeah.
That's
So
a great point.
Yeah. So if anybody has anything else to add or any questions, now's your chance, because we're going to close out in about a moment. And you can just raise your hand, or let me see, nothing else. Okay. I think Clarissa has something.
Hi. Thank you so much for this this workshop. This was really great. I learned some new things. I've had a website for about 2 years now, and I have a pretty good mailing list, but I did not do that welcome series situation. So I guess I just wanted to ask, like, is it okay to go back and like welcome everybody again and like start the whole thing over and then automate it, so when I do input new email addresses, it starts them off on the right track? I just love how you put that, like, you want to build a relationship with these folks, and they're entrusting you to use this in a a beneficial way for them, which is great. But I did not grab them like I should have with that email welcome series thingamajigger.
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think you absolutely can. I think, depending on what the content is, it might, if someone signed up for your list 2 years ago and suddenly they get an email saying, welcome, thanks for signing up. But you can always adjust it that still, especially if you haven't really been consistently emailing them. I've seen it go both ways where people, 2 years in, like create a welcome sequence and then add people in. So it's one of those things I know people want a definitive answer, but it really depends.
Okay. All right. And I will be reaching out to you because I think your content of this workshop is really great for many people who are in business. So I look forward to having your help.
Thank you. I'd be glad to help.
Yeah. Thanks. And thanks, Robin, for providing this for us, this
Yeah,
opportunity.
of
Thank you.
course, of course. I hope that this was really helpful.
Mhm.
Anybody else before we close out? You can throw it in the chat or just raise your hand or just unmute yourself. Okay, all right. Well, I am going to close out the workshop today. And once again, I want to thank Bev Feldman so much for being here with us. And you can look forward to a follow-up email, and I'll also send out Bev's information if you want to contact her. So there'll be, an easy way for you to get in touch with her if you happen to miss all of her stuff that she
And
put
thank
up,
you.
Here.
Thank you for Robin for having me here, and for everyone who showed up and everyone who watches the replay later.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And everyone have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.